Look into what we have on Point today. In On Point 1, Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets Mohammed Bin Zayed, 11 MOUs signed, short visit with big results. Forest fires rage in Himalaya, shorter and drier winters leading to fires destabilizing the fragile ecosystem. Senior citizens digitally robbed in Rishikesh of their life savings. Despite best efforts, India continues to be at the receiving end of cyber fraud. A 20-year-old Manipur gang rape survivor dies, waiting for justice. Women from Kukizo community protest. The victim, the survivor, was 18 when she was abducted and gang raped. Chinese birth rate plunges to its lowest since 1949. China stays at a looming demographic crisis. Boon for Indian doctors, Canada to give express visas, 5,000 applicants to benefit from this initiative. Nitin Nabin is the new BJP president as he gets elected unopposed. A surprise choice and big shoes to fill. Nabin to take office on 20th. And let's take a quick look at the headlines. Army Special Forces soldier Havaldar Gajendra Singh killed in action in operation in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district. Senior Karnataka IPS officer DGP Ramachandra Rao under fire after undated obscene video allegedly from inside his office surfaces. Kuldeep Singh Sengar's plea seeking suspension of 10 years sentence rejected in custodial death case of Unnao rape victim's father. Silver prices surged sharply, crossing 3 lakh per kg mark in future trade for the first time. First on point, Sheikh Mohammed Bin Zayed Al Nahyan arrived in New Delhi for a brief official visit at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister himself went to the airport to welcome UAE President, a gesture that reflects the depth of the relationship between India and the UAE and the personal rapport shared by two leaders. This visit came at an important moment in global diplomacy with shifting geopolitical dynamics in West Asia, including tensions in the Gulf region and ongoing instability in areas such as Yemen and Gaza. Although brief, the visit is being seen as a reaffirmation of the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. During his short stay, Sheikh Mohammed held bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, focusing on several key areas, namely economic cooperation, including trade, infrastructure, investment and technology, strategic defense and security collaboration to enhance stability in the region, energy partnerships, particularly long-term arrangements covering crude and LNG supplies, regional geopolitics, including developments in West Asia where both countries have stakes. The Ministry of External Affairs has described the visit as an opportunity for both leaders to chart new frontiers in the India-UAE strategic partnership. This is Sheikh Mohammed's third official visit to India as president and his fifth over the past decade, highlighting the sustained momentum in diplomatic exchange between the two capitals. India and UAE have developed a robust partnership over recent years encompassing trade, investment, energy, people-to-people ties and defense cooperation. Bilateral trade has surged in recent years with non-oil trade, especially growing strong. The two countries are among each other's top trading partners, and key frameworks such as the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which is known as CEPA, signed in 2022, have further facilitated economic integration. The scale of ties is extraordinary. The UAE hosts more than 4.3 million Indian expatriates, making Indians one of the largest expatriate communities in Gulf and a cornerstone of people-to-people connections. Trade figures underscores this. UAE ranks as one of India's largest trading partners with multi-billion-dollar exchange in goods and services. India's energy security and supply arrangements with UAE are also central to this partnership, especially given the Gulf's pivotal role in global energy markets. The visit also unfolds against a backdrop of shifting regional dynamics in the Gulf. Relations between UAE and neighboring Saudi Arabia have faced strains, particularly over issues such as Yemen and involving alliances in West Asia, making India's diplomatic space increasingly significant. India's ability to maintain strong ties with major Gulf powers, including both Saudi Arabia and the UAE, enhances New Delhi's role as stabilizing diplomatic force in the region. In addition to state-to-state relations, India and the UAE have collaborated on initiatives such as India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, an ambitious project aimed at enhancing connectivity and trade between Asia, the Gulf and Europe. Such initiatives reflect a shared vision of economic integration and stability. I'm joined by Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, former Indian diplomat and founder President UAE India Business Council, and I'm also joined by Major General Rajan Kochar, defense and geopolitical expert. Thank you so much. My first question is to Ambassador Sachdev. Sir, your opening comments on short visit, but people are saying it's very, very significant. Can you, sir, please break it down for our viewers, the significance of this meeting that took place in New Delhi?
Thank you for having me. I'm pleased to be on TV9. In diplomatic adage, shorter the visit, more significant it is. Paradoxically, UAE's official news agency, till 2 hours ago, didn't have any word, even in Arabic, about their president visiting India. So the visit was deliberately made low-key and was perhaps focused on one or two major salient points which required personal sort of discussion with Indian Prime Minister. I'm not going to speculate, but you have already mentioned economic ties being very robust. Secondly, the evolving strategic space in and around UAE, in the Gulf. Iran has had a very serious bout of internal unrest, which had at one point involved real prospects of President Trump's intervention on the side of the protesters. Yemen has had serious spat for the first time between UAE and Saudi Arabia, which came to Saudi aerial action against UAE supplying ship in Mukalla port last month. The space around Gaza settlement has not got any better. The phase one was not fully implemented, with Hamas still refusing to disarm.
Okay.
When they had phase two started, and now we have developments of various kind, including Mr. Trump's so-called peace board, and so on and so forth. So all that creates a certain ambience in which perhaps UAE President felt the need to consult with Indian Prime Minister over something specific.
Let me, sir, read out what Prime Minister posted, and that is the question to General Kochar. So let me be verbatim, because it was a 2-hour visit. It says, we went to the airport to welcome my brother, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the UAE. His visit illustrates the importance he attaches to a strong India-UAE friendship. Looking forward to our discussions. The Ministry of External Affairs said the visit, held at Prime Minister Modi's invitation, his invitation, builds on recent high-level exchanges and marks Sheikh Mohammed's third official visit as UAE President, reflecting sustained India-UAE engagement. So my question, without being frivolous or completely speculative, the fact that this meeting took place at the initiative of Prime Minister Modi, a lot of people are saying that perhaps there was a message which has to be passed through Mohammed bin Nahyan. That is why that meeting had to be done one-to-one. And it was reciprocated. He came, meeting happened, and he went back.
Karthikeyan, I think in diplomacy, when a president of a particular country is going to actually visit you, I think it is customary that invitation will come from our Prime Minister's side. So I think to draw too many conclusions from the fact that the Prime Minister invited him, I think that's a diplomacy protocol which was followed because a president of another country is visiting you, and obviously he is going to come on your invitation. But the larger aspect is, this is not a normal diplomatic visit, because a prime minister coming or a president of a country coming for 2 hours shows a kind of a urgency is there, and urgency on part of both the countries to meet, or the heads of states to meet. And I would suggest that this urgency is from the chaos what is happening in West Asia as of now. It's not one event. It's a shadow of a large number of events. The first I will take is the Iran and the USA issue, and why I am bringing out in priority one is because the United States has a military base in UAE, and the purpose of that military base was to protect the UAE from any external threat. And I think a give and take was there in this particular deal with the US. Now, what happens is, when the Iran threat was looming large, the US have actually vacated their troops from this airbase. And it is sending a very strong signal to the UAE that they are very, very vulnerable, because in times of these war looming large in the Middle East, the UAE needs a partner who is trustworthy, who does not have any linkages attached, and who will deliver in real time. And that is why I would lay out the 3 priority areas of this visit. First is the maritime aspect, because some kind of protection in the Gulf of Eden, in the Red Sea, in all those supply chain routes which affect India also, because as you have seen, $100 billion of trade on both sides, and most of it is energy trade. So India is also concerned that any kind of volatility in this area is liable to hurt the interest of India also. So maritime is one issue. Second is because he's coming here to ink, because this is what I heard, that certain pending agreements had to be finalized. The second one is on defense cooperation. I would like to highlight here is about loitering ammunitions. The 155 ammunition here. I would Pinaka gun system is also on the anvil. The Akash missile system is also being discussed. So these are areas which are extremely important to the UAE now, because they don't have any dearth of money. They can buy our equipment.
Or is it also about I'll come back to you, sir, Ambassador Sajdev, is it also about a projection? For example, if you look at what Asim Munir has been doing, there was a defense pact which the Pakistan has got with Saudi Arabia. People say it's useless, but the fact is it's a defense pact on paper. The proximity now Pakistan enjoys with Turkey. At least if we look at these pictures, it just tells me, as a viewer, that we also have a foothold in West Asia. We also enjoy a proximate relationship with a person who is taken very seriously there. Isn't it, Ambassador Sajdev?
It's not a zero-sum game. India has the substantive ties with other sides as well. Chabahar port in Iran is something that we have pursued doggedly against American restrictions. Saudi Arabia is fourth largest trading partner immediately after UAE, for example. And Indian companies have major projects in that country, taking advantage of Vision 2030 of Crown Prince Mohammed Bin Salman. And I think that there would be ill-advised speculation to talk about what exactly is the nature of the visit. I think economically it can be.
Okay, let me, for our viewers, sir. Okay, I completely agree with you, sir, that speculation is incorrect. वो कहते हैं ना कि ऐसी क्या बात है जो फोन पे नहीं हो सकती, आपको दिल्ली में 2 घंटे बिताने पर ही करनी पड़ेगी. That is the question a common person would ask. ऐसी क्या बात है जिसके लिए आना पड़ा आपको? Let me put it very simply.
Ji, I think that is what is $1 million question, and I believe that UAE delegation comprises of their defense minister, their foreign minister, and certain other biggish personalities. So that sort of tilt us to believing that it is something to do with defense, something to do with economic cooperation. UAE had promised when Prime Minister visited for the first time in 2014, I think, that they would have $100 billion invested in India. That is yet to be fully carried out. The oil market is in a disarray. Next year or this year itself, there's going to be huge oversupply of crude. And UAE might be interested in ensuring that India, the third largest and the most growing market for crude in the world, stays with it as Russia is weaned away.
Okay. General Kocha, the drift which I get from both you gentlemen is that the bilateral component is far more stronger than other multilateral issues. In context of bilateral component and especially in context of strategic affairs and military, what do you think would have underpinned?
You see, Karthikeyan, what I can actually gather, because see, look at the urgency today, and UAE is feeling a vulnerability in West Asia today. You rightly actually mentioned the Pakistan-Saudi Arabia pact. The Yemen issue is also weighing on their minds because of the UAE and the Saudi fight actually going there. US not standing by UAE in the way UAE would like it to stand. Gaza issue is also there, and things are not very comfortable in Syria also. So, and of course Iran is there. So all these issues I think cannot be talked on the phone. You would like to come and get some kind of a reassurance from India, because look at the naval footprints India has in that actually region. I would like to highlight that, because a great maritime presence India has. Desert cyclone, we have carried out joint exercises, and I think UAE would like to have more joint exercises with India in this region to show that the presence of the Indian forces is there, and to safeguard the UAE interests also in this region is extremely important, because a person of the stature of President of the UAE coming to India for 2 hours cannot be underplayed, because it's extremely important and a strategic visit, I would say that, because in spite of agreements which are there existing, minister, talks are also going on. Jaishankar also visited last month, and a long sort of a comprehensive discussion has taken place. So I feel that it's a culmination to all that, all that geopolitics which is happening in the Gulf, and a kind of a reassurance from India's side to stand by UAE.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. I've really run short of time, so this is all I had on point one. But coming up after a short break will be forest fire rages in Himalaya.
तेरी एक जिद और फैक्ट्री वर्कर सब डबल।
रिटायर हो जाऊं क्या? अच्छा, बिजनेस के लिए लोन का आइडिया किसका था? पर बुढ़ापा आ गया हो।
इनकी जिद ने कारोबार भी बढ़ाया और रोजगार भी। टाटा कैपिटल बिजनेस लोन्स के साथ।
With Skoda Supercare and growing network across 180 plus cities, you never drive alone.
Skoda. Last time कश्मीर गई थी ना, वहाँ खाया शहद, पर उसके लिए कश्मीर जाना पड़ेगा। अरे कश्मीर क्यों जाना? कश्मीर ही यहाँ आ गया।
सुंदर वादियों में महकती खुशबू और रंग बिरंगे फूल, इनमें से शहद निकाल कर जमा किया जाता है असली शहद, लायन कश्मीर हनी।
असली शहद, असली स्वाद।
दूरियां कोई अपनों में ना रहे, दिल में जब उमंग हो, घर है वही जहां सब संग हो, रिश्तों को रंग दो, दुनिया को रंग दो।
Birla Opus Paints.
Let's go across to the MEA briefing.
Where discussions were held both in the restricted format and then in expanded format, where delegation members engaged with each other. A number of documents were also exchanged in the presence of the leaders. I'll share the details with you. The importance of this visit can be gauged by the composition of the delegation accompanying His Highness the President of the UAE. It comprised members of the royal families of both Abu Dhabi as well as Dubai, and several senior ministers and officials. Amongst the members of the delegation were His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Managing Director of the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah Bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of the UAE, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai, also the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Defense of the UAE. And also His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Sultan, who is the Deputy Chairman of the Presidential Court. In addition, there were the Secretary General of the Supreme Council for National Security, the Minister for Industry and Advanced Technology, the Minister of State for International Cooperation, the Minister of State for Artificial Intelligence, Digital Economy and Remote Work Applications, and the Minister of State for Defense Affairs. So as I said, even for this short visit, this was a really, really high-powered delegation that accompanied the President. The talks between the leaders, as I said, were characterized by the warmth and special friendship between the two leaders that has become a characteristic of this relationship. There is a detailed joint statement that is being issued, which will be uploaded as soon as we finish here, as also a list of outcomes from this visit. Let me quickly take you through the key outcomes that will, in a sense, define our bilateral engagement with the UAE in the immediate near future. First of all, a letter of intent was signed between the two sides to work towards concluding a framework agreement for a strategic defense partnership between India and the UAE. A letter of intent was also signed between the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center in Space and the UAE Space Agency for a joint initiative for space infrastructure development and its commercialization. Under this particular initiative, we will look to setting up new launch complexes, satellite fabrication facilities, joint missions, space academy, and training centers. A letter of intent was signed on the UAE's participation in the development of special investment region in Dholera in Gujarat. This is a mega partnership initiative that will look at the establishment of an international airport, a pilot training school, an MRO facility, a greenfield port, a smart urban township, as well as projects related to railway connectivity and energy infrastructure. The UAE has always been a premier energy partner for India, and therefore building on this comprehensive energy partnership, a long-term agreement for the supply of 0.5 million metric tons of LNG per annum was concluded during the visit. The UAE is now the second largest supplier of LNG to India. In addition, an MOU on food safety and technical requirements was also signed, which will provide for sanitary and quality parameters to facilitate trade, exchange, promotion of cooperation in the food sector, and encourage food products and other agricultural product exports from India to the UAE. It will benefit the farmers of India and contribute to food security in the UAE. The discussions between the two leaders focused on several new and emerging areas of cooperation as well. In fact, to capitalize on the new opportunities for civil nuclear cooperation in the light of the passage of the Shanti Act in India for sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India. The two sides decided to explore partnership in advanced nuclear technologies, including development and deployment of large nuclear reactors and small modular reactors, as well as cooperation in advanced reactor systems, nuclear power plant operations, and maintenance and nuclear safety. Artificial intelligence was identified as a priority area of cooperation. It was decided to collaborate on setting up a supercomputing cluster in India with UAE partnership, and the UAE will also look at investments for expanding data center capacity in India. The UAE will also participate at a high level in the Artificial Intelligence Summit that India is organizing in February 2026. Both sides will also explore the possibility of setting up a digital or a data embassy. This is a relatively new concept, but there will be work done to see how these can be set up under mutually recognized sovereignty agreements. On the trade front, following the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement between the two countries in 2022, the bilateral trade has since crossed $100 billion. And in view of this, two leaders decided to raise ambitions and look to double bilateral trade to $200 billion by 2032. It was also decided to facilitate exports of the MSME industries to the West Asian, African and Eurasian regions. And both sides will look to working expeditiously on several initiatives that are currently underway between them, including Bharat Mart, the Virtual Trade Corridor, and the Bharat Africa Setu initiatives. UAE companies, DP World, and the First Abu Dhabi Bank have been granted permissions to open their offices and operations in Gift City in Gujarat. The two sides.
India's Foreign Secretary making important announcement. He basically summed up the important MOUs that were signed between India and UAE. A very short visit by UAE President, but it's a very important visit. Now let's move on to the second on point. Now, winter is supposed to be a season of snow for the Himalayas. Instead of snow and lush green pastures, Himalayas are witnessing something else. The rhythm has been broken. From Uttarakhand to Himachal Pradesh and deep into Jammu and Kashmir, forest fires are breaking all known seasonal patterns, erupting at a time when they simply should not exist. What we are witnessing is not an isolated anomaly, it is a warning. For decades, forest fires in the Himalayas followed a predictable cycle. They erupted in late spring and early summer when rising temperatures, dry winds and thick leaf litter created the perfect conditions for flames to spread. Winter by contrast. Now, it acted as a natural firewall. Snowfall, winter rain and cold temperature kept forests damp and safe. That rule has now been broken. This season, forests across western and northern Himalayas have been catching fire in December and January, months that were once considered fire-free. Uttarakhand, typically a spring fire hotspot, has emerged as the most fire-affected state in the country, overtaking central Indian regions known for dry areas. Uttarakhand has recorded highest number of fire alerts in the country, 1,756, surpassing states traditionally more forest fire prone such as Maharashtra 1028, Karnataka 924, Madhya Pradesh 868, Chhattisgarh 862. December, which typically a low fire month, has emerged as the most active in the state in nearly 3 years. Himachal Pradesh is seeing fires across Simla, Kullu, Mandi, Chamba and Bilaspur. Data from forest officials show 62 fires incidents in Shimla alone, making it the worst affected district. The Great Himalayan National Park has reported 6 fires, raising serious concerns for protected wildlife zones. Chamba and Kullu have seen 4 fires each, while Mandi has reported 8 incidents. In Rampur, number stands at 16 fires, and Bilaspur and the South Wildfire Circle have together recorded 2 fire cases. In Jammu and Kashmir, even higher altitude forest zones, usually protected by snow, are reporting flames. In Anantnag district, a forest guard lost his life while battling a winter fire, a tragedy unheard just a decade ago. In Poonch, fires triggered landmine explosions along the line of control, adding a security dimension to an ecological crisis. When forests burn out of season, response systems are unprepared. Fire lines are not maintained, manpower is reduced, equipment is not on high alert, winter fires catch everyone off guard. This is not just unusual, it is dangerous. Experts point to a single alarming factor: extreme winter dryness. December passed with little to no rainfall across large parts of the western Himalayas. Snowfall has been deficient, forest floors are dry, leaf litter is highly combustible, and even a small spark is enough to trigger a blaze. Scientists warn that the climate variability is compressing traditional fire seasons, meaning fires are starting earlier, lasting longer, and behaving more unpredictably. Winter is no longer a buffer. Forest officials also warn that human activity is amplifying the crisis. Fires lit deliberately for grazing, waste disposal, or illegal hunting swept uncontrollably these dry conditions. Traditional forest practices that once reduced ground fuel, such as controlled grazing, have declined, allowing dry biomass to accumulate. Climate stress and human negligence are colliding. What is unfolding in the Himalayas is not just a regional story. Out-of-season forest fires signal a deeper ecological shift, one that threatens biodiversity, water security, and disaster preparedness across northern India. The Himalayan ecosystem is uniquely fragile. Unlike central India's dry forests, Himalayan forests are dominated by pine, oak, mixed conifer species, trees that shed large amounts of dry needle and leaves. Cheer pine forests in particular act like natural fuel beds. Once the forest floor dries out, fire spreads rapidly uphill, driven by wind and steep slopes. Add to this is the fact that many Himalayan villages sit right at the forest edge, and a small fire can quickly threaten lives, homes and livelihoods. What would be manageable elsewhere becomes explosives in the mountains. The Himalayas regulate rivers, rainfalls and climate patterns for millions downstream. When these forests burn in winter, the damage lasts for longer than the flames. This is no longer about firefighting, it is about rethinking how India prepares for a climate reality where old seasons are no longer apply. Winter fires in the Himalayas are not a freak event. They are a forecast, a future where nature's safeguards fail and disasters arrive before we are ready. The question now is not whether these fires will return next winter, but whether India will be prepared when they do. So this is all I had on 1.2, but in 1.3 I will tell you how senior citizens are becoming easy targets of digital fraud. In Rishikesh, cyber fraudsters trapped an elderly couple, a retired bank official and his wife, using a fake law enforcement call, threat of arrest. The couple was told they were under investigation, warned not to step out or speak to anyone, and kept constantly on phone and video calls. Under what scammers called digital arrest. Repeated intimidation forced multiple money transfers. By the time contact ended, 69 lakh, a lifetime of savings, was gone. Only later did the couple realize no police agency had ever been involved. In Delhi, cyber fraudsters duped an elderly doctor couple of nearly 14 crore in a digital arrest scam. The accused posed as a law enforcement official, kept couples under constant phone and video surveillance, and forced multiple money transfers under the threat of arrest. Delhi police arrested 2 suspects from Gujarat, and further investigation is underway to trace the money calls.
अभी तो शुक्र है कि पता नहीं कहां से भगवान ने कुछ क्या चमत्कार किया कि हम थाने गए, नहीं तो हम सोच रहे थे कि आईआरबी से सारा जब रिफंड हो जाएगा, और नॉट नोइंग कि ये फ्रॉड हो रहा है हमारे साथ. 15 दिन के बाद पता चला है कि ये हमारे साथ फ्रॉड हुआ है. और पुलिस और सुप्रीम कोर्ट और ये सब जो ड्रामा जो किया इतना कन्विंसिंग था, और जैसे थ्रेट किया कि हमको किसी को कुछ नहीं बताना है, किसी से नहीं बात करनी है, तुम्हारी लाइफ पे थ्रेट है, तुम्हारे हस्बैंड वाइफ दोनों पे थ्रेट है, बाहर नहीं जाना है, किससे मिलना नहीं है. और जब हमको किसी को कॉल करना होता था, जैसे अपने बच्चों को भी हमने कॉल करना है, तो बोलते थे कि हाँ आप कर लीजिए कॉल, पर आपके हस्बैंड पे हम कनेक्ट कर देंगे, so that they can hear कि हम क्या बात कर रहे हैं.
Similarly, in Mumbai, a senior couple lost 58 crore after fraudsters impersonated central agencies. In Bengaluru, a woman was kept under digital arrest for months, losing 32 crore. In Delhi, elderly victims have lost amounts ranging from 1 crore to 7 crore. Similar cases have surfaced in Srinagar, Bhopal, Kolkata and several other cities. The victims share common traits: trust in authority, fear of law enforcement and limited awareness of cybercrime's tactics. Government data and cybercrime agencies now confirm what police stations across the country are seeing. Digital arrest scams are exploding. More than 90,000 such cases have been reported in a year, with losses running into thousands of crores of rupees. The targets are carefully chosen: senior citizens, retired officials, NRIs, people who respect authority and fear legal consequences. The method is psychological warfare. Fraudsters impersonate police, CBI, ED or even courts. They use fake documents, scripted calls, sometimes even video feeds with uniforms and background. Victims are isolated, frightened and coerced into transferring money to the so-called safe accounts, which are actually mule accounts created to launder money quickly. Authorities stress one key point: no law enforcement agency conducts arrest over phone or video call. With cases mounting, the Supreme Court of India has stepped in. The court has taken suo cognizance of digital arrest scams, calling the situation alarming. It has directed the CBI to conduct a pan-India investigation with freedom to probe banking lapses and mule account networks. The centre has informed court that a multi-agency task force has been formed involving the Home Ministry, RBI, telecom authorities and cybercrime agencies. The court has hinted that unusual crimes may require an unusual judicial order and is considering issuing nationwide guidelines to prevent further abuse. Further hearings are underway, with the government expected to submit a detailed action plan. Digital arrests scam thrive on fear and silence. They turn phones into prisons and authority into a weapon. As the Supreme Court tightens the net, the real protection lies in awareness, especially the senior citizens and their families, because in this crime, the moment fear takes over, the damage is already done. So this was 1.3. And in 1.4, we'll talk about Manipur, where the rape survivor, the first gang rape survivor, passed away. A 20-year-old woman who survived a brutal gang rape during Manipur's ethnic violence in 2023 has died after waiting nearly 2 years for justice. An FIR was filed, but no suspect ever identified, no arrests were made, and the survivor died without seeing accountability. The young woman belonged to the Kuki-Zo community and was just 18 years old when she was abducted during the ethnic violence that erupted across Manipur in May 23. According to the FIR and subsequent accounts, she was seized amid the chaos of the clashes, subjected to a brutal gang rape that left her grievously injured, and she was disposed of near a creek. She survived the assault, but the physical injuries and psychological trauma were severe. For months after the attack, she remained in fragile health, dependent on care and support from her family. The trauma she endured left lasting scars, both physical and emotional. Yet, even as she struggled to survive, the criminal investigation into her assault failed to gather momentum. The first information report in the case was filed in July 23, weeks after the crime. Despite the seriousness of the allegation and despite the widespread attention on Manipur at the time, the investigation stalled. No suspects were identified, no arrest followed, no charge sheet was filed. For nearly 20 months, the survivor lived in a painful limbo, caught between trauma and hope. Her family repeatedly approached authorities, asking for updates, asking for progress, asking for answers. But there was little to tell them. Early this month, the survivor succumbed to complications arising from her injuries. She died without seeing those responsible held to account. Her death has reopened wounds, not just for her family, but for the state still struggling to recover from violence. This case cannot be viewed in isolation. It unfolded amid ethnic clashes between Maitis and Kukis that began in May 23 and plunged Manipur into months of unrest. Entire villages were burned, thousands of people were displaced, lives lost, communities were torn apart. During this period, multiple allegations of sexual violence emerged, particularly from the conflict-affected tribal areas and also some in the valley. Women activists say that vulnerable and women were most affected by the attack. Poor got displaced and they had limited access to protection or justice. Human rights groups and civil society organizations say the survivors' case reflect a broader failure to investigate crimes committed during the unrest. They point to delayed FIRs, lack of witness protection, fear among victims, and the breakdown of law and enforcement conflict zones. Legal experts warn when investigations are delayed, cases begin to collapse almost automatically, evidence is degraded, witnesses dispersed, fear sets in, and survivors already traumatized are often left to carry the burden alone. The survivor's family says her death has left them with not just grief but unanswered questions. They insist the case must not be allowed to fade away simply because the survivor is no longer alive. So this is all I had on this on point. But after the short break, in my last on point, we'll talk about the new BJP boss.
इतनी दूर कैसे करेगी? ऑटो लेगी क्या?
नहीं अम्मा।
तो
सरप्राइज।
जिद्दी लड़की।
इसकी जिद ने दी इसे एक नई उड़ान, टाटा कैपिटल 2 व्हीलर लोन्स के साथ।